Hello, my name is Becky and I'm going to be reading through the safeguarding policy for adults. This policy was updated in September 2021. The next update will be September 2022. Introduction. This policy is about keeping adults safe. This means everyone over the age of 18. We have a different policy about keeping children safe. This policy is for everyone who works with us. This means staff, volunteers, people who are self-employed, and people who are doing work for us. Everyone needs to know what this policy says and understand what it means. This includes directors and the advisory council. What is safeguarding? Everyone has the right to be safe. Safeguarding means people are protected from abuse and neglect. It is about everyone working together to make sure that people are safe. What is abuse? Abuse is when someone hurts another person or treats them badly. The abuse can be on purpose or something that can be done by accident. There are different types of abuse. Physical abuse is when someone does something to hurt or injure someone else. So, for example, causing injuries such as bruises, broken bones, burns or cuts, which are not an accident. It can also be if someone is given too much medication or not enough medication. It can also be someone stopping another person from doing what they want to do. Verbal abuse is when a person insults somebody or says really hurtful things to them. For example, somebody swearing, shouting, or talking down to another person. It could make them feel frightened, upset, or bad about themselves. Domestic abuse. This can be any type of abuse. The main thing is that the person doing the abuse is related to the person that is being hurt. So this could be their husband, their wife, a partner, or a member of their family. This can happen anywhere. It might be happening in their family home. Sexual abuse is when someone does sexual things to another person when they do not want them to. It is also someone doing sexual things to another person when they do not understand what is happening. For example, forcing someone to have sex when they do not want to, or making someone watch sexual activity or films. It is also when someone is too frightened to say no to sex because of what the person might do to them. Mental abuse, and this can also be called psychological abuse. This type of abuse affects someone's mind and how they feel. So, for example, being made to feel scared. This might be worrying about physical or verbal abuse, not being shown love, being blamed for everything, being forced to do things, being made to feel guilty, being called names, being told what they can and cannot do. Financial abuse. This is when someone is stealing from a person or making them give money. They might take someone's benefits. They might make someone promise to leave them money when they die. Someone might borrow some money and say that they will pay it back, but then they don't pay it back. Modern slavery. This is when a person is not free to live their life and is being forced to work without getting paid. The person has control over them and they have no choice. For example, someone having to work long days in really bad conditions with little food or drink. It could be being punished if they don't work and being too scared to leave. Getting treated worse than other people. This is also called discrimination. This is being treated differently than other people. It is usually being treated worse. This is usually because of something like age, disability, race, sexuality, background, or whether you are a man or a woman. Organisational abuse. This is when someone gets poor care from services that are there to support them. This could include residential care homes, group homes, day services, hospital, or even in their own home. This might be taking away someone's choice and control. It might also be something that happens just once, or it could be something that happens very often. Neglect. This is when someone who is meant to support a person with their everyday needs but does not do this very well. An example of this is not meeting their health or emotional needs. It could be not giving them enough food or drink, giving the wrong medication, ignoring their rights. Self-neglect. People can also neglect themselves. This means not looking after themselves properly, which might put themselves or other people at risk. Who might be at risk of abuse? Everyone can be at risk of abuse. An adult at risk is someone who is over 18 years old and who has care and support needs. This could be because they have a physical disability, they could have a learning disability, or be an autistic person. People are not at risk all of the time. We respect people's rights and independence to make choices about how they live their life. Who could the abuser be? Anyone might abuse another person. This includes both men and women. It includes people of all ages and all backgrounds. It can be people whose job is to protect, care and support people. For example, a carer or a support worker or hospital staff. It can be family members or complete strangers. It could be people you work with or people you work for. It can be people who pretend to be your friend. So anyone could abuse another person. Where does this abuse happen? Abuse can happen anywhere. For example, it could be in a person's own home. Abuse could happen in the street, on the bus or train. It could happen in a care home or a hospital, in a club or pub or at work, in public places when you are out and about. What we believe about keeping people safe. Everyone has the right to be safe. We will promote people's rights in all of our work. We will do our work in ways that help to keep people safe. We will work together with other people and other organisations to help keep people safe. If we are worried about someone's safety, we need to think about their ability to make choices about their own life. This is called mental capacity. We all make choices at times that other people might think are bad for us, but it is our right to make them as long as we understand what we are doing. We will respect people's independence and their right to take risks. We will balance this with our responsibility to act if we think someone is at risk. It is better to stop abuse from happening in the first place. Part of our work is about helping people to understand how to stay safe. We are all responsible for helping to keep people safe. We all have to speak up if we think someone is at risk. Stopping abuse from happening at Inclusion North. To help to stop abuse happening at Inclusion North, we will do these things. We have a code of conduct that explains how we will behave. This will show that any violence, abuse, or discrimination will be dealt with immediately. Do disclosure and barring service, DBS checks, every 3 years on all of our staff and volunteers. We will make sure all of our staff and volunteers understand this policy. Always ask for 2 references when we recruit someone to work for us or to be a volunteer. We will share information about where people can go for help if they are being abused. We have a complaints procedure and a whistleblowing policy for people to share any worries that they have about other people at Inclusion North. We provide regular training about safeguarding for all staff and volunteers. We make sure staff have regular one-to-one meetings with their line manager. We have a trial period for all staff and volunteers to help us to decide if the people we recruit are right for their role. So, what Inclusion North will do if we are worried that someone is being abused or neglected? We want all of our staff and volunteers to feel confident to speak up if they have any safeguarding concerns. You need to talk to your manager about any safeguarding concerns you have straight away. If your manager is not available, you should contact the Chief Executive or the Lead Director for Safeguarding. Their contact details are at the end of this video. There are different reasons why you might be worried. So you might have seen or heard someone being abused. Someone might have told you that they are being abused or neglected. Someone might have told you that they are worried about someone else who might be being abused or neglected. If you have seen or heard abuse, there are some things you might need to do. You might need to call an ambulance if the person is hurt. Call the police if you think a crime has taken place. You need to make sure that you are also safe. Tell the person who has been abused that you have to report what has happened. Contact your manager as soon as possible. Do not try to investigate what has happened. Do not touch or move anything that might be evidence of what has happened. If someone tells you they are being abused, let them talk to you, but try not to ask any questions. Let them tell you as much as they want to. Tell them that you will have to report it to your manager. Try to write down as much as you can about what they have told you. If you are not sure if someone has been abused, but you still feel worried, you have to tell your manager as soon as possible. Next, I'm going to talk about confidentiality. It is important that we keep information about safeguarding private, and we only tell people who really need to know. We have a confidentiality policy that helps us with this. We will usually tell people if we are going to share our safeguarding concerns about them with anyone else. People can be most at risk when they report that they are being abused, so we have to be careful who knows about this. Staff or volunteers can also be at risk when they report safeguarding concerns, so we keep things private to protect them. What will happen next? The person you talk to will ask about your reasons for being worried. They will write things down. They will decide with you what needs to be done next. This might mean reporting a safeguarding concern to the local safeguarding team. The safeguarding team have to look into it and take action. They will listen to what the person wants to happen. They will try and help them to feel safe. They will take action against the person or organisation who has caused harm. Some notes will be kept, so we have a record of what we have done. We will store the notes safely so that they are private. If Inclusion North staff member or volunteer is accused of being abusive, we will use our safeguarding policy and disciplinary policy to investigate what has happened. Next, I'm going to talk about care, education and treatment reviews. Inclusion North employs expert advisors to attend care, education and treatment reviews, also known as CETR. If an expert advisor has a concern about an adult during a CETR, they will raise it during the meeting. If the expert advisor had a safeguarding concern after the CETR had finished, they should inform Inclusion North as soon as possible. You can contact anyone in the Hub team about this. If you can't get in contact with them, you should contact the Chief Executive or Lead Director for safeguarding. All of the contact details will be at the end of this video. We will contact the CETR chairperson and/or independent clinical advisor. The CETR chairperson might make a safeguarding referral to the local authority where the person is living. The CETR chairperson might not do anything. In that case, the expert can ask Inclusion North to pass the concern onto the Safeguarding Adults Board. Your concern might not be about abuse or neglect. It might be about poor quality care instead. Your manager will talk to you about what we can do about that. We might contact the managers at the place where they live. We might report it to the Commissioner. We might report it to the Care Quality Commission. Some top tips. I'm going to read out a list of some things to do and not to do if someone tells you that they are being abused. I'm going to start with some things that you could do. Stay calm and don't show that you are shocked. Listen carefully and try to write down exactly what someone says. Tell them they were right to tell you. Tell them you will take it seriously. Tell them you have to pass the information on. I'm now going to explain some things not to do. Don't stop them talking to you or interrupt them. Don't make promises to keep it a secret. Don't contact the person who may be abusing them. Don't try to investigate or find out more. Don't ask questions, just let them tell you what is happening. And don't tell anyone else except your manager. Next on the screen is the contact details, so please feel free to pause the video on the contact details that you wish to see. Thank you.